we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to credit him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move ahead with that?
I'm looking at it, yeah. The Senate is passing and passed a very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated his criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine and announced he is approving additional defensive weapons for President Volodymyr Zelensky's government, overriding a previous pause imposed by the Pentagon. He told reporters that Putin is killing too many people, adding that he's not happy with the Russian president. At a cabinet meeting, Trump said he's backing Ukraine's defense, reversing delays on arms shipments by the Pentagon. The president emphasized support for Zelenskyy, calling Ukrainian troops brave and promising U.S. military aid. Trump also took aim at Putin personally, saying that he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
For returning back to Russia, if there's anything that you would signal about your displeasure with them?
Well, look, I'm very unhappy. There's no reason for this. It's turned out to be tougher, but it's only tougher. And I will say the Ukrainians were brave, but we gave them the best equipment ever made. We gave them the anti-tank busters that knocked out tanks. I mean, you just aim them in the direction of the tank and the tank is gone. We gave them missiles, the latest and the greatest. They were able to shoot down a lot of things that would have normally wiped out. You know, probably would have been a very quick war. It would have been a war that lasted 3-4 days, but they had the benefit of unbelievable equipment. And Europe gave them too. We gave them far more because Biden shouldn't have done that. He should have equalized. We should have given him the same, or we should have given actually less than Europe. It affects Europe much more than us, but we're in there for over $300 billion. Europe's in there for over $100 billion, but still, Europe gave a lot. And I will say this, the Ukrainians, whether you think it's unfair that we gave all that money or not, they were very brave because somebody had to operate that stuff. And a lot of people I know wouldn't be operating it. They wouldn't have the courage to do it. So they fought very bravely. But we gave them the best equipment in the world. We make the best military equipment by far. There's nobody close. You look at other equipment from other countries, it's not even close. That's why everybody wants to buy our equipment. And that's why we're going to step up these contractors now that make it. And they're brilliant, but they make it too slowly. And we have to step them up, Pete, and let them make it at a much higher rate. Unfortunately, we have to do that. But if you look at our Patriots, if you look at our Tomahawks, if you look at our, well, what we do with tanks is, you wouldn't want to be driving a tank. You would feel nice and secure, but they are javelins, they're called. And I gave them the javelins. Remember they said Trump gave the javelins and Obama gave them sheets, right? They called Obama at that time. Barack Hussein Obama, if you haven't heard, did a terrible job. But that was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to credit him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move ahead with that?
I'm looking at it, yeah. The Senate is passing and passed a very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Can you sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They passed it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly. I told you I was very unhappy with my call with President Putin. And it just seems like he wants to go all the way and just keep killing people. No good. It's not good. I wasn't happy with it. Well, they need him for defense. I mean, I don't want to see people killed. And they're going to need him for defense. They're amazingly effective. You know, we knocked out 14 out of 14. That's pretty amazing. If you think of it, it's almost incredible. But we knocked out 14 out of 14. So they're going to need something because they're being hit pretty hard.
Are you going to send them, though? Are you going to send more?
Yeah, we might. We're looking at it. We talk about sanctions a lot, yeah.
What does he say?
I would say he's not thrilled with it, but, you know, he's been able to handle sanctions, but these are pretty biting sanctions. Now, we talk about sanctions a lot, and he understands that it may be coming, and he's a professional. Yeah, I'd like to see it happen. I don't want to see 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 soldiers killed every week. And you have other people, but for the most part, so far it's been mostly soldiers, and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and they're also Russian soldiers. But it's 5,000 souls, and they're being killed every single week. So it's really higher than that now. Now, I think I'm tougher on Russia than I was on almost any other country.
It's the second time in 24 hours that Trump has publicly criticized Putin's refusal to move toward a ceasefire. When pressed on the recent weapons pause, Trump deflected, saying, "Why don't you tell me?" with clear frustration. Trump said he's also looking very strongly at a bill introduced in the Senate that would impose severe sanctions on Russia and on countries that purchase its oil, petroleum products, natural gas, or uranium. He called it an optional bill. At last month's NATO summit, Trump said the U.S. may send Patriot missiles to Ukraine to boost air defense. A shipment of Patriot interceptors was paused over stockpile concerns, but Trump now appears ready to resume support. In response, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Trump now understands the Ukraine conflict is more difficult to resolve than he initially believed.
We take this quite calmly. Well, first of all, let's put it this way. Trump generally has a rather tough style in terms of the phrases he uses and so on. We also heard a very important statement from Trump that resolving the Ukrainian conflict turned out to be much more difficult than he initially thought. This is what we've been saying from the very beginning, that it's not possible to resolve this overnight. So we take this calmly. We expect to continue our dialogue with Washington and our approach to repairing the significantly damaged bilateral relations. We also expect that despite all decisions about resuming arms supplies and so on, although in reality no one ever actually stopped any supplies. But even despite this, we still expect that Trump and his team will continue their efforts to move the process of Ukrainian settlement into the political and diplomatic sphere. That Russia is currently waiting for proposals from the Ukrainian side regarding the third round. This should be in the interest of the Ukrainian side because the situation on the ground is changing daily. We are moving forward, and with each new day, the Ukrainian side will have to come to terms with new realities.
At a recent public event, Russian President Vladimir Putin abruptly left Miss speech to take a call from Trump, saying it would be awkward to keep his American counterpart waiting, as he might get offended.
For that, I thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. I wish you success. Please, truly, don't be upset. I completely understand that we could have certainly talked a little bit more, but it genuinely feels quite awkward to keep people waiting for an extended period. Someone else might actually get offended now, Thank you very much. Good luck.